Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to round number 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, Larry Lefty McLeod, with Jonathan Grabowski working behind the scenes, giving you all the best views of tonight's 75-minute sprint in our TCR and Club Sport classes. Tucked into the rolling hills of Kent, where the trees crowd close and the echoes of racing past still linger, lies one of motorsport's most storied battlegrounds, Brands Hatch. This isn't just a racetrack, it's a time capsule of speed, a place where legends were forged on narrow tarmac, under heavy, heavy skies, and in full view of roaring but wet crowds. From the blind plunge of Paddock Hill Bend to the sweeping rise of Druids, every inch of this circuit demands courage, it demands precision, and it demands absolute trust in the car beneath you. It's fast, it's tight, and it's utterly unforgiving. There are no wide runoffs here, just gravel, just grass, and history waiting to catch the unprepared. Welcome, Larry, to Brands Hatch.
Yes, we are. We are here. Is it raining? Because at the real Brands Hatch, it's always raining. I don't
It's
see any
always
rain in the
raining,
sky
exactly.
in the sim. Yeah, it looks pretty clear. A little bit gray overcast. But I don't think we're expecting any precipitation. Look at this. Look at this, Jonathan.
Yeah,
with
there
the
you
weather
go.
report
Dry,
right there on
70
screen.
degrees. Everything.
Beautiful
I wish it
stuff
was here
there.
down in Charlotte.
I wished it was here in Michigan as well. But tonight we get to enjoy some of the highlights of British summer weather with this beautiful conditions here at Brands Hatch. And I think what's, to me, most exciting about tonight is the points battle shaping up as we enter the final quarter of the season. We got tonight, we got the finale in 2 weeks. We have got an epic points battle brewing in the club sports. Andrew Sharp, Robert Schwenkler, Chuck Labano are 1, 2, 3 on top of each other. It's going to be super exciting because whoever can come out tonight with the most points has got the huge edge going into the finale. And then, of course, over in the TCRs, it's pretty tight there. You got the Orions, you got the D2Ds, you got a couple independent drivers that seem to have their act together there as well. Points battles, team battles. Tonight's kind of going to shape up to decide who's going to end up winning this whole thing.
Yeah, indeed, Larry. We have 11 points separating the top 3 drivers in the CS class for our Toyota GR86 Cup cars, and gonna be pretty easy for you to pick them out as they're out just about midway through qualifying right now. The Club Sport class, as I mentioned, the Toyota GR86 Cup cars, you can see there they've got the orange number boards, mirrors, and windshield banners there. And then, of course, we have our TCR class. It's a single make class made up of the Hyundai Elantra TCR N, much like Eric Violet from D2D Sim Racing, who are watching right now, currently running third in qualifying here in TCR. And Larry, of course, as we always do, and Violet on his very last, his 4th attempt, goes off track, so he will not improve from third. That's going to leave it to Dan Carrillo, and we'll see there in a little bit in TCR. We're watching right now Robert Schwenkler, who already has gone to pole in the GS class, or probably in the CS class, and that is with only 2 flying laps complete. He's trying to improve upon the 137.73 that he has already put down, but I think at this point, Brian Bennett, who's currently the 3rd fastest driver in qualifying, he is the only one, I think, left, Larry, that could probably get to Robert Schwenkler, and the best he's been able to turn in is a 38.3.
Yeah, that 37.7 is a pretty quick lap. We'll see if what Bennett can do here on his last one. I love this track because it's really hard to lay down. He's gonna bail on this lap, so he won't be letting it quicker. But I do love this place because it flows and it's so challenging to get that perfect lap. You've got to hit that hairpin exactly right. You got to hit the back straight entry just perfect, and then all those little kinks and corners, those little moves you got to do up and over the top of the back of the hill have to be perfect. Hard to do around here. But when it comes to racing, this place has got its moments. It's tough to pass, but it certainly encourages you to want to try. And I think that's what, to me, is going to be exciting tonight.
Indeed. All right, so we've got Ryan Haley on his final flying lap. He leapfrogs Pan Hydra to take 5th fastest in qualifying. And at the moment, I believe Hydra the only remaining TCR class racer out qualifying, and I believe at this point, Larry, all of our Club Sport racers have completed their 4 flying laps as well. So let's do this. Speaking of Club Sport racers, we've got David Klimovich, driver of the number 21 Slowbros Club Sport Toyota. I think at the moment he is running 4th in the championship. Let's hear him.
All right, joining is one of the many Klim clubs, David Klimovich, joining us here. And so, David, welcome to pre-race. Are you all set for Brands Hatch in this wonderful race tonight?
Yeah, I think I'm about as ready as I can be. We had a bit of chaos in practice. It's a very tight track and a lot of cars in a small space.
Yeah, it seems to be. It's just one of those places, just a very narrow strip of pavement, but it almost encourages you to want to try passing moves, doesn't it? The way these corners are not the longest straightaways, but they make you want to kind of tuck in and see if you can make something stick.
Oh yeah, my brother Mike and I, we did a lot of practice side by side, and there's a lot of spaces that you can kind of just wedge your car in early, and force someone to the inside or take the outside. It kind of depends on the turn, what's better for you. Turn 1 especially, if you get pushed to the outside, that's real tough with the off camber.
Yeah, it's one of those places. We're excited tonight. 75 minutes around here should be a lot of fun. A little longer than maybe some of the other races in the series. More chance to make those kind of moves over this long format. But for yourself coming into tonight, you're in a bit of a points battle. You paying attention to how things are shaping up and seeing how close you can get to that top group?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get up closer to 3rd place, but they just seem to be pulling away from me. So at a minimum, I want to defend my 4th place. So I think in 5th right now is Dale, and I believe I'm in 4th. Mm-hmm. So him being my teammate, I'll certainly be kind, but certainly after I think the pit stop, it's all racing from there.
Yeah, what's the mentality across the Slow Bros group? Are you guys, one for you guys are on your own, all by yourselves, or is there a little bit of team, don't hold your teammate up kind of thing, or? What's that
Oh
like?
yeah,
in
it's
between
definitely
guys?
it's definitely more of a team effort. We're pretty good about if recognizing who has a better pace on a particular track, and if one of us is behind another one for a little bit too long, we'll let the other one pass and kind of try to work together, to keep up with the guys ahead. I don't know if you guys saw last race. Dale and I were together for quite a while. We were about the same pace, and I felt I was actually a little bit faster behind him, so I was happy to stay behind him and just try to push, so we could hopefully get closer to the front pack. That never happened, but that was our goal anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to be able to work together like that, especially in this kind of a series too, where it is a long series, 8 events, and if you can pick up a couple of points here and there, it really does help in the long run. But your teammate, of course, you've got Dale sitting one spot behind you in the points. You got, of course, you mentioned your brother Michael that's out there, but the whole Klim club, the whole Klimovich family that joins in, we think it's great. We love engaging with them in the chat. Are they excited? You guys talk about this over the weekends, like at family gatherings?
Oh yeah, they love it. They love you guys too. They're always excited for every other Monday night, race night. It's big in the family group chat.
Are we going to grow the Klim club, or how many are actually in the Klim club? You think these days?
In terms of the fan base, there's probably I don't know, probably 5
Hundreds,
or 6
Larry.
that watch regularly.
Larry, I think he was thinking if there's another pregnancy or birth announcement.
Well, there's that too. I mean, there is that kind of growth as well. So
I think somewhere there's one along the way. Yeah.
that's good. That's awesome. More fans for us. We appreciate that.
That's right.
Well, we got a few more seconds. I'd love to ask you guys what in these pre-race interviews, what do you do outside of sim racing? Either for work or for other hobbies.
Well, right now, let's see. I play. I make a lot of music. I play guitar. I do a bit of racing. Not racing. I do a little, free track time. I actually have a GR86
Cool.
as my daily driver. I haven't gotten out this year, but I got out quite a few times last year, so I enjoy that. And then just hiking and food, kind of the regular stuff. Work with computers a lot. Do a lot of hosting of my own services and just tinkering around with stuff like that too.
Interesting. All right, well, I think time's up, Quad. The grid's about to queue up. Appreciate you joining us here pre-race. You got any other shout-outs, mentions you want to give?
I just want to shout out everybody in the Club. My girlfriend, my other brother who's not in the series this time. My mom and my dad are usually watching. And I think Joe's watching tonight too. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
All right. Awesome job. All right, we'll get to grid, and good luck. And maybe with any luck, we'll be able to talk to you at the end of the night.
I hope so. Have a good one, guys.
All right, everybody. That is David Klimovich from Slow Bros Racing. And Larry, that was the best segue I think I've ever heard you make. It's like, oops, time's up.
Well, he's got a job to do. You can't hold him up.
That's right. It can't all be playing with computers and playing guitar. Maybe we should hook him up with Bailey Petrowski. All right,
Yeah,
Larry, let's run down the starting order for tonight's race here. 75 minutes of the checkered flag from Brands Hatch. Starting on pole tonight in the TCR class in those Hyundai Elantra TCR ends. It is Bailey Petrowski from D2D Sim Racing. He's going to start right alongside his teammate Chris Thorman from D2D. Eric Violet, also from D2D, will start third. Dan Carrizo from P1 Racing, he's going to start fourth tonight with row number 3 made up of Ryan Haley and Pan Hydraday, with Robert Hartley from Orion holding down the fort for those guys. He's going to start 7th tonight.
All right, in the club sports, on the pole tonight, he comes in tonight second in points, but he's going to start at the front. Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff. Alongside him is your points leader, Andrew Sharp from Rapid Theft Racing. Row 2 from Sector 5 Racing on the inside is going to be Brian Bennett. Alongside of him, Jeff Jacobs. Good qualifying today for Jeff from the SCCA Foundation. Row 3, there he is, the fan favorite Bobby Childs from D2D Sim Racing. Alongside, just talked to David Klimovich from the Slow Bros. And then on the next row, it's all Slow Bros. Dale Maxwell will take the inside, and Michael Klimovich will be on the outside of row 4. Behind them, Chuck Labano. He's going to have to work his way through the pack tonight if he wants another podium. He's from Frito Sport Racing. He'll be alongside Kerry Racing's Paul Carey. And on row 6, Rodney Carey, also part of that famous Kerry Racing, alongside the Flying Tortoise himself, Russ Ruddock. And then finally, the last of the Frito Sports, it's John Casey on row 7.
All right, there you go. That is your starting order for tonight's race. And Larry, apparently soon enough, come January, we'll have another member of the Klim
so
Club.
Exciting.
I know. It's like I'm Kreskin or something when I bring stuff like that up. I feel good. All right. Tonight, of course, our race is presented by the SCCA Foundation, which provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make real-life road racing events possible. Visit sccafoundation.org for more information. And we're going to have, speaking of more information, Larry, more information about the upcoming seasons of our different Ricmotech series. We'll talk about that as the race gets underway here tonight, as Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff, Andrew Sharp, bringing the field around in the club sport class. They are going to get, of course, their separate start from our TCR cars, who are... they should be, I think, coming up to Clark right about now. And we'll see them, they're coming under the bridge, heading to Clark Curve, turn 9. And they are now getting gridded up 2 by 2. And Larry, it looks like Robert Hartley did not make the grid for tonight's TCR start. Dale Maxwell is in the pit lane. He may be joining from the pit lane in CS, as the pace car now is on the pit lane, turning things over to Bailey Petrowski, and green flag is in the air, Larry, and we are racing here in not so rainy Brands Hatch, as Bailey Petrowski, as he always seems to do, Larry, jumps out to a very quick start, seems to anticipate that green flag, runs very wide, coming through Paddock Hill and down the hill towards Druids. And this has got to be hell on cold tires on the fronts of those TCR cars.
Yeah, they are definitely fighting tough there with the D2Ds, but this is the fight we want to watch. And look at this, making the move down the inside there. That is Robert Schwenkler trying to hold on to that spot. Sharp, they're going to try the outside, not there. Bennett slots in, everybody where they started. Chuck Labano, the only one that may have been able to move up a spot or two. We'll keep an eye on him as he's third in points. Would love to get up into the battle between these two as we go on board with Andrew Sharp, trying to stay right there with Robert Schwenkler here in the opening lap.
Yeah, looks like Labano did manage to get around Michael Klimovich on the start as we settle in here in our first lap of, well, for these racers in club sport, probably somewhere along the lines of 45 laps here tonight, Larry, as they're already starting to catch up to the back of the TCR field now here as they are making their way down clear ways towards Clark.
Already just a couple of car lengths of separation between that front group. But this will be fun because this is all D2D at the front here. Petrowski, Violet, and Thorman, those three teammates. Dan Carito's going to try and stick with them. But I have a feeling here that Petrowski and Violet had visions of maybe pulling away a little bit before they get into a team-on-team battle. And that seems to be what's happening here. Just a couple extra car lengths now. And even look at this. Eric's going to try and challenge Bailey into the hairpin, and he's going to make it stick, at least for the moment. Let's see if he can come down the hill. Inside line now to Petrowski. And Petrowski's going to hold it, use the curb, the exit. Violet's going to use that. But look at Thorman maybe thinking 3 wide.
Go ahead, Thorman, make it 3 wide.
Ooh. No, he tucks in, though.
All right.
Wow, that was tight.
As they come through Surtees now, late apex, and then the longest straightaway down towards Hawthorns as they go down what's known as Pilgrim's Drop here, right down the compression, down the hill where they're going to raise right back up again. Nice early attack there from Violet, Larry. And, interestingly, Violet, didn't get a lot of practice time in this week. Considered himself to be a little rusty. He was on vacation for the past week with the family, and but he did come to a couple of the practices and noted that Bailey Petrowski wasn't there. Right. And so Bailey might be a little rusty as well, and we just saw that right there as they came out of Sterling's out of turn 8.
Maybe that was a thought there by Violet, was maybe Bailey is in practice and early opportunities might come up, and that looked like one of them. But Bailey, great job to hold the outside line. You get better acceleration as you run down the hill into the hill bend, and he was able to hold that position. I love that it's the hill.
The Graham Hill, yes.
Because there's Hill Woods Hill going up and Graham Hill coming down, and then it's the Graham Hill Bend. You gotta love these wonderfully original names here at the UK. Nothing is numbered. It's a British track. They don't number corners.
Nothing. No.
Definitely not. That's an American way of doing things. No, of course, here in the UK, everything named generally after some famous race car driver, such as Grant Hill.
Actually, it was very funny. I was watching a video the other night as I was trying to get back up to speed. It's been a while. Oh, nice! Look at that move down the inside from Bobby Childs.
Yeah.
Running the Aussies, the Ozzy Osbourne, Ozzy's Garage livery there in honor of his lost hero. And I should also mention that he now has, not Ozzy, of course, because it's probably a little bit too late for him to record it, but Bobby has like walk-up music now. he has Bobby's theme.
Yeah. A lot like, I don't know, Hulk Hogan would have had a theme song when he enters the arena. So
I would say all of Bobby's heroes are leaving.
All of them. Love that move, though, and here he is.
Right.
Bobby's showing his pace.
Yep.
And Jeff Jacobs behind him, having a little trouble staying on. This place, some of these corners, it encourages you to use some of the extensions of the grass into the little rumble runoff area. And but you can pick up off tracks. That was one of the things we did here this week, is everyone's worried about the off tracks. They accumulate in 75 minutes. We could even see some drive-through penalties before the night's over. We don't know the exact number that they accumulate, but we know it's going to be more than 0.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, and Larry, this isn't going to be for an extreme number of off tracks, but Rodney Carey has now picked up a drive-through penalty for incident responsibility. I think he got together with Russ Ruddock on the start.
Do not hit the tortoise.
Let's take a look here.
There's Russ leading that little pack. And there's the move. Yeah, that's a bit of a dive bomb. Just a bit there. Wasn't really up to alongside.
And now we know how Jeff Jacobs made up, or not. Yeah. I'm sorry, that wasn't Jeff Jacobs. That was Dale Maxwell, I think, in the 111 machine. Made up a couple spaces. Yeah.
Yep. So now Labano, look at the 3 wide here with Jacobs, and then in the middle there's David Klimovich. Labano is going to think he's got the outside. That's the good line here, because on the outside you can use the outside edge of the track and make the run to the next kink. I love the outside line here. I think for Labano this could work well.
And Larry, given that he stayed all the way around the outside to get that pass done, Jacobs not able to carry any speed through there, and oh my.
And Michael Klimovich now with David in front of him. Michael's got to wonder, do I want to knock my other slow bro out of this or stay behind? Chooses the stay behind option here this time.
It sounded like all bets were off after the pit stops, but doing it on lap 4 might be a little
well, only 2 seconds. Yeah, only 2 seconds behind them is Dale Maxwell, and if I remember, Dale started this from pit lane. Yeah,
indeed, and I'm sure it helped him quite a bit. With that incident just ahead involving Ruddock and Carey. So Larry, a lot of the corners here, besides having somewhat blind entries, some of them have fairly early turn-in as well in order to carry the most speed, which I think is going to you're going to see that exhibited by drivers running wide and maybe a little bit too wide on exit in many cases on this narrow circuit, as Bobby Childs.
We have a Bobby incident.
Yeah, Ozzy's had. There's the trail of gravel from Ozzy.
There's a boneyard for Ozzy somewhere out there.
Somewhere, yeah.
That Bobby's leaving behind.
Oh man.
Little reference to his radio station. We'll leave that one go. We'll keep an eye on Bobby's status tonight.
That's right. All those Sirius XM stations, Larry, they live on ad infinitum. Talk to Tom Petty about that.
little side by side there between the Klimovich and Jeff Jacobs, while the other Klimovich is looking for revenge. So David takes the bump. He has to slide in behind Michael. Now you got Paul Carey coming up, and look, there's Dale Maxwell right behind Paul Carey too. So it's getting a little feisty in here. Look at Paul Carey going to try the inside line.
Oh, that was That could have turned out a lot worse, Larry, as Klimovich there took a whole bunch of the apex, the grass inside the curbing.
You have to. That's the way that corner is driven. You've got to drive completely center line over the little bit of curbing that's there in order to be fast, because those kinks, that sheen curve, those kinks are high speed. And if you take too much speed off, you're just going to get bull rushed by the car behind you, which in this case is probably going to be Dale Maxwell, because he's now in this train right behind Paul Carey and the Klimovich brothers right here, who are now behind Jeff Jacobs. So you got six cars.
So Larry, I was going back a couple of minutes. I was talking about how I was, watching a couple videos, get back up to speed with Brand. It's been a while since I've called a race here, and had had one racer video that I was watching. They go, all these tracks have names, and I just don't know the name of this corner, or the little straightaway coming out of it. And it's as she was coming up to Westfield. And I'm sure that she said it simply because she did not want to say Dingle Dell.
It's a great name. Right here. Gotta go this. They come around the Minter Straight into Westfield and then down through Dingle Dell, which is the most fun part of this track. You get the kink, it has this low dip, it comes back up and then through another crest kink. It's beautiful. It's like driving a rally, the Monte Carlo rally around there. I love this part of the track.
Yeah. And it was so cute. It was actually Jamie Chadwick from, who I'm sure many of you know is, 2 or 3 time W Series champion. And
she's fast.
She's very quick. Had done some, I don't know if she's still doing Indy Lights or I guess Indy Next, or she's moved on to some other stuff.
Yeah. All right, well, here's your lead pair in the club sports. Schwenkler still ahead of Sharp. Look at this, just 2 tenths between them. This, I think, is Sharp thinking, I can stay behind, save some tires, save some fuel. Let's pull away from the pack and figure this out later. Because Brian Bennett, we know, is quick. So if they can clear distance a little bit, they can get themselves later on into a little one-on-one battle.
Yeah, and Larry, they've already opened up almost 4.5 seconds on Bennett at this point. So, we talked about how close things were in the championship. Sharp is currently your championship leader. He has a 3-point advantage over Robert Schwenkler at the moment.
I want to put that in perspective. 3 points. The difference between finishing first and second in a race is typically 4 points.
Right.
So it can be more depending on bonuses, but generally it's about a 4-point swing, which means if Schwenkler was able to win this thing, they pull almost dead even. There'll be maybe a point advantage to Schwenkler depending on other drops and things, but very critical for Schwenkler to try and stay ahead of Sharp tonight to make this a winner-take-all finale in 2 weeks.
Yeah, indeed. And in 2 weeks, we're going to be coming back to the U.S., going to be going to Virginia International Raceway, where we will be finishing up the season at the home of the old oak tree. And so Sharp with 3 wins on the season so far, Schwenkler with 2 wins on the season, and we can talk about Chuck Labano. He is only 11 points back from Schwenkler at the moment, 14 out of the championship, and he is our only other race winner this season.
Yeah, got that win at the opening round at Willow Springs, and then he's got a string of third places behind these other 2. He's having a great season, but it seems these 2 in front of him almost every week, if he can get himself up into this pack again, try and claim into the podium, he can hold off the slow bros, Klimovich and Maxwell, who are trying to get to the podium. But for Labano, critical that he gets up there. Look at this. Speaking of slow bros, that right there is Michael Klimovich, who's going to go all the way to the gravel pit sideways.
Yeah, after a little bit of a hip check there with Jeff Jacobs, and I think he initiated the hip check and then got the worst of it as he got caught on the outside in all the marbles. Let's take a look at it here as they come down the front straight.
Yeah, and remember, the straightaway from overhead doesn't look like, but it's bending, it's banked, and there is, speaking of banked, it's more of a bang into the doors there. Yeah. Into Klimovich, sending him a bit wide. I think that's just 2 drivers misestimating because they both had room on either side of where the other was going to go. I'm not sure there'll be any penalties. We'll have to see. But certainly for Klimovich, that's going to send him back. It helps his teammate there as Dale Maxwell moves up in front now of Michael Klimovich. He's now up into 7th. For Jacobs, remember, he started this race in the 2nd row up in 4th. He's lost a couple of spots. It's Labano, as we thought, who started down the orders, got himself into that 4th spot, trying now to catch Brian Bennett. Good shot. Labano there with all the nice clear track in front of him.
as he has, about 8 seconds now to make up to get to Bennett, just ahead. I want to say hi to Carmen, here joining the Klim Club, of course. And Brendan Kennedy. Hey, Brendan. Good to see you here tonight. We've got Andrew Sharp being cheered on by Bird Sim. This is, I think, where we say that birds aren't real, hence Bird Sim.
Can I say who repeatedly?
Yes.
Who?
Who? Who? Who?
It's a very subtle bird reference in case you don't have to explain these things.
You know, we really need to rack up Bobby's intros.
For more jokes, listen to last week's broadcast where we asked for fishing references while Ethan Bass leads the race.
That's right.
All right, good battle continuing. Schwenkler also running the Aussie Tribute livery here. And Sharp does not look like he's interested in passing. In fact, it looks like he'd rather push Robert along than even try to make a move. Really trying to put Bennett
so
behind.
so that lead is now up to about 6 seconds. And anything that they can do, Larry, at this point to not bring Brian Bennett into this post-pit stops. I mean, advantage here, you know, for a track that isn't terribly long. It's, you know, it's 2.5 miles in length, you know, and we only have, I think, 23, 24 cars running at the moment. So, you know, not a lot of track density here. They should come out and clear space after they finish up their pit stops.
Yeah, this is the spot you would expect to see a pass from Sharp if he really was intending to. You come onto that front straight, you tend, if you're the trailing car, to want to push the leading car off their line so they get a bad run through turn 1, and then you get them going down into Druids. But in this case, Sharp looks like he's content to just sort of hang behind. This is a good opportunity here. He's not taking opportunities. He's just sort of sitting back, letting Robert dictate the pace and just not slowing Robert down so they don't get anywhere drawn backwards. But it just shows you the pace both of these drivers have, that no one else can touch them. Their lead now almost 7 seconds.
All right, Larry, let's jump over to TCR action here for a few moments. And we saw Violet put up a pretty strong fight there, as it looks like Chris Thorman may have just run a little bit wide. But Bailey Petrowski now has started to exert a little bit of dominance here. Maybe he's gotten in the rhythm after not having practiced all week, and now opens up about 2 seconds on his teammate Eric Violet here, as we are 10 laps in to what should be 49 or 50 laps for them. So we're about 20% of the way done.
Bailey coming up on some traffic, a couple of club sports here to try and make his way through. We'll see if this benefits Eric Violet at all, or does Bailey able to extend the lead now as they start picking through traffic. That's, of course, one of the Frito Sport entries. Looks like John Casey opens nicely.
The door, lets the Elantra through.
Yeah.
This is looking like a very non-TCR-ish race, Larry, as we've got, 2 seconds from Petrowski back to Violet, another second or so back to Thorman, another 3 back to Carrido. Expect to see a big draft train, just not developing that way here tonight.
Not yet, but still a lot of racing to happen here as we go on board with Chris Thorman, who's the third of the G2Ds here in the TCRs. He's keeping pretty well tabs on Eric Violet in front of him. He's doing quite well to keep up his pace, and also pulling that 3 seconds or so to Dan Carrido behind them, trying to make sure he doesn't need Carrido pressuring him. And you should see Carrido in the background there in the red one.
right, back to our pre-race interview guest, David Klimovich. Getting a little loose there.
I wonder if his real life GR86 gets a little loose if he's at one of the tracks, like, Thompson or one of the other tracks there up in the Northeast. They may be taking it to.
All right, back to Sharp and Schwenkler.
Changing here yet. And for this to change, I suspect it's going to need some traffic or a mistake by one or the other. Could trigger some things to happen if somehow Schwenkler drastically misses an apex or a breaking point. That could allow Sharp to sort of tuck underneath, and then it becomes all fight is on, because at this point Schwenkler really needs to finish in this position desperately. He needs to finish ahead of Sharp, so he might get desperate to get back in front should he fall behind. But at this point, their pace is strong enough to continue this 1-2 all the way into the pit stops and then see what happens, as we're probably still about another 20 minutes away from
20 minutes away,
yeah.
And Larry, I don't know if it was just a connectivity issue. I did see, and we did show David Klimovich in the 21 Slowbros machine getting around Chuck Labano momentarily. And that is switched back to about a second separating him. I think that might have just been a little iRacing glitch.
Here they come through some of this intense battles in the club sports. Now we're starting to see the TCR leaders come through. Little leapfrog going on there as Eric Violet heads around the 21 of David Klimovich. Next up will be Chuck Labano. That might just slow Eric down just a touch. He's going to have to sort of go on by here before they get down the hill to the Graham Hill bend. And he does get on by their compromised corner, so Violet maybe losing a little bit on this sequence to his teammate Bailey out in front. Behind him, and I think that's obvious now, Chris Thorman looks to be closing in on Violet for that second spot in TCR.
Yeah, indeed. The last time through, Thorman was... No, they're running fairly similar times, but I think the last couple of laps, Thorman definitely has been closing things down as they work their way through traffic here. But they are clear for the time being as they get past Chuck Labano. Next, one of our Club Sport racers is going to be, somewhere around 4 seconds up the road to Brian Bennett running in third, who's now dropped almost 8 seconds back from Robert Schwenkler and Andrew Sharp. And you see what the effect of that curbing there, Larry, is they hit the apex over at Clark over at the final corner, what it does to the Toyotas in particular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these GR86s have been known on almost any track. If there's a tall curb, they're going to bicycle around it. So it's one of those you have to be very careful. That is one of the taller curbs here at Brands Hatch. But a lot of these curbs, like that one you see there coming down the hill at the Graham Hill Bend, more flat. You can, even in these cars, you can take those pretty well. But you look at this one as they go around Surtees. Notice how they stay off the apex curb, because that's where it would pop. You get all the cars loaded, all in the right front. If you hit the left on the inside of that curb, you're going to pop up in the air. So you see these guys, don't touch them. Almost a little bump draft going on there.
Yeah, just as you said, don't touch it.
Yep. A lot of touching going on here. Is these two, I'd almost swear they're teammates the way they're playing, but no, this is a chess match that's going on here. Is both of them know what's at stake. Both of them want to win the race, but they also both know they need at minimum second place points to have a chance coming into the finale in 2 weeks. So neither one wants to flinch. And there's a little bit of a wide run. Let's see if Sharp takes this now going into the final corner at Clark Curve, or if he at least pushes offline a little bit Schwenkler. Let's see if it's an up and under move for Sharp, or if he just plays it conservative.
He played it pretty conservative there, and he I think kind of dropped back a little bit and maybe let Schwenkler take a much less compromised line than might have happened if
yeah, if this were the
if
last
Sharp had
third of
done,
the
but
race, and there's a little
yeah.
bit here. Look at this. Is now
Yeah.
Sharp does take the inside, and I don't want to say he's got the position because he's on the outside. Schwenkler's going to hold the inside, a lot like we saw earlier with the battles of TCR in the opening lap there between Petrowski and Violet. Same thing here. The car on the outside is able to keep that position. In this case, it's Schwenkler.
All right, so again, that late turn in at that very steep curve at the apex, going through Surtees and up the hill, and another battle now starting to form. We talked earlier, I thought that perhaps it was some internet connectivity issues that Chuck Labano was experiencing, that damn Canadian internet. But right now, David Klimovich putting on a nice little fight here with the 346.
Yeah, Labano able to hold it through there as they went down the Cooper Straight there. But as they head now along the long back straight, it looks like, at least for the moment, Labano's pulled that back in front. As you said, if he's got connection issues, that could have caused why he dropped back into Klimovich's realm there.
Yeah.
For David, he's going to try and make a move here soon.
Yes, after he disappeared to the Shadow Realm, he ended up dropping into Klimovich's own realm here. But as Klimovich really tried to compromise Labano's exit earlier there, coming out of Hawthorne Hill, the Labano machine, the 346 car, still was able to dig out of that corner pretty well and actually open up a nice little gap. It looks like Klimovich wasn't really able to close things down until they got into braking for Clark, and then started to close the gap just a little bit. As we now go on board here with
teammates.
Dale Maxwell, Michael Klimovich, the 111.
Maxwell having a good race. Again, he started from pit lane, and you can see here now already working his way up in close to the top 7. But now it's Michael Klimovich, who's on a bit of recovery after the off that he had. Remember, I think he's the one that was door-to-door with Jeff Jacobs earlier in the race. So he does, I think, get this position back. I think Dale's going to concede the position and give Michael the inside as they head down towards the Hill and the Hill Bend. Graham Hill, not to be confused with his son Grant Hill. No, not Grant Hill is a basketball player.
No, not Grant Hill.
So many hills, I can't keep them all straight.
No, one plays round ball.
Which one's Benny Hill? That's the one I want. We are in the UK.
That would be. I was going to say that would be more apropos. I think I've got the same glasses that Benny had. And that was me just giving a salute with the back of my hand, my forehead.
Well, the Klim Club woke up in the chat when they started seeing the battle here of David and Labano. And there you go, David ahead of Labano now for the 4th spot. Christine's going crazy. Joe's in the chat. The whole group of them there, all fired up. Carmen, of course. So many Klimovich and more to come. All kinds of them. This is great. We had one more. We've added like 10% to our viewership.
I was going to say, how soon can we throw the new one? I guess we have to wait till January before we can put the new one in a rig. Might have to wait a little bit longer than January now that I think about it.
Yeah, we might be on past his bedtime. His or her bedtime.
Yes.
All right, so speaking of Maxwell and Michael Klimovich now, the other slow bros still continuing their little battle. All by themselves with one of our TCRs just getting past them. Catch if that was Ryan Haley.
It's Ryan Haley, I believe, just ahead. Was that a pretty quiet evening?
He's trying. Chuck's definitely shoving him along. Chuck deciding not to pass. Push was better. They're trying to make the slow bro less slow.
And by the way, Larry, we are just about to hit the opening of the pit window for the TCR cars here as we're getting into lap number 18. At this point, I doubt we'll see Bailey Petrowski pit in. He usually is one of our later racers to pit in the TCR class in in Club Sport, pit window should be opening up around lap 20, so maybe another 3 laps or so for the Toyotas before they might start thinking about whether to come in.
And that'll be interesting with some of these battles that we see out there. Does anybody try and do undercuts and things? Perhaps the Labano-Klimovich battle that's going on there. Perhaps the Schwenkler and Sharp. Have to keep our eye. Need to find out what happened to Robert Schwenkler. As Schwenkler now finds himself 7 seconds back of Sharp, and Sharp is the new leader in Club Sport. We're gonna catch a quick replay here and see what happened to Schwenkler. As there they are, nose to tail, and there's Eric Violet, the TCR, trying to take the inside line, and oh no,
got the double tap.
That is down at Westfield, and that is
with a spinal tap.
That is a tough place to go side by side, as Robert and Eric Violet just found out. See if the stewards take a look at that. Another angle here from overhead. You can see the TCR comes in. I don't think Schwenkler thought the TCR was going to continue that. Figured he would slot between the two Club Sports. That's unfortunate. Now 7 seconds is what it cost Schwenkler. Luckily, he's still in the race. He's on the recovery. Let's see what kind of pace Robert has to try and close this gap before they go in for the pits.
It's like something out of Zombieland there with them.
And they are reviewing the incident. The stewards are taking a look at it. This could be interesting. If there's any kind of penalty, it won't affect. They likely obviously wouldn't affect anything in the Club Sport. I don't suspect there'd be a penalty there. But our second place runner in TCR could be at risk because Eric Violet was involved there.
Yeah, and with Thorman, what about
just a couple seconds
5 seconds back? Yeah, definitely could affect it.
When you look at the point standings coming tonight, Eric was in second. Dan Carrito in the points is only 4 points back. So Carrito actually currently running fourth. Perhaps if there's a way if Violet's penalized and he has to drop back, there you can see the point standings, 285 for Violet, only 281 for Dan Carrito. So Carrito potentially benefits should there be a penalty that comes at Violet.
That's right.
Now, we know Eric from a lot of the interviews. We've talked to him now for a couple of years. I'm sure he's always a very calculated, almost at times a risk-averse sort of driver. My guess is he's a little guilty over maybe getting involved in that one. Obviously, breaking up the 2 liters wouldn't have been his intent for all that. Just a bit of misjudgment, but we'll see what the stewards have to say about it.
All right, and here's Chuck Labano once again looking maybe to turn the tables on David Klimovich. And whether he decides to do that, maybe Larry and Labano had a pretty exciting first couple of laps. Of course, we saw him roped into that pack that was behind Rodney Carey as and who did Rodney have? Oh, Rodney Carey and Russ Ruddock. By the way, Russ Ruddock hasn't been able to rejoin this race, but maybe for Labano it would make sense to sit back, pull a draft for a little while off of Klimovich.
Yeah.
After having led Klimovich around for 10 laps or so.
Maybe Labano would love to hold on to the podium points position, but the guy he's trying to hold off, in fact, is David Klimovich. So that's where this becomes not just a battle in the race. This is potential for points. Huge opportunity for David Klimovich. As we talked to him for the race, he knows that he's a gap down from this front three, but this is how you overcome that. You stay in front of drivers like this. Let's see if Labano tries to pop out here or just push him along, as we're getting a close-up view of the Frito Sport livery on that GR86.
Hi.
He wants us to know that Frito Sport is where it's at.
Windshield wipers on, clearing his view as he follows Mr. Klimovich through. And there you go, Larry. Getting penalty, drive-through penalty for Eric Violet for the contact that he had there with Robert Schwenkler.
Can't say I'm surprised. We'll have to see how this impacts Eric's race now, as well as I mentioned. Obviously, Chris Thorman sitting currently third, and Dan Carrito, who's only another 5 seconds back from Thorman. So a drive-through at this track, not the longest pit lane, but it could still be like a 15-second penalty when it's all net through the pit lane.
Yeah, and Larry, Thorman had actually closed things up to about a 1.5 seconds after the incident, after having been about 2.5 seconds back. You can see there, it only took 2 laps or so for him to make some of it up. The last 2 laps, Violet's been stretching things back out again, but unfortunately for Eric Violet, I think that run down the pit lane is going to be a little bit too long.
Yeah.
So hold on to second.
But we're coming up on the halfway point of the race, and so maybe given the margins, there's a chance he can recover in this, depending on how the pit stop itself goes a little bit later. But there he is through his drive-through penalty right now. I assume he's not going to do anything else but the drive-through at this stage. He'll come back later for his pits. Let's see what kind of time. There goes Carrito in the red TCR down the lane. So the delta's at least probably 10 seconds from where Violet was to where he is now. So instead of 5 seconds in front of Carrito, he's 5 seconds back.
There you go. All right, so Larry, we're right up at about the top of the hour here. Let's take a quick break and come back. Hopefully we'll catch most of the runs down the pit lane, not for penalties, but for pit stops here at Brands Hatch, where you're watching round number 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to Brands Hatch. It's round number 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and we're just about, actually, no, we're not even halfway through. We're a couple minutes short of halfway through here in our 75-minute run to the checkered flag, as we are now watching our overall leader. That's Bailey Petrowski. And Larry,
Yes.
This race in the virtual world was supposed to start at, let's see when it was supposed to start. In sim race time, 11:15 a.m. I would say it's looking awfully dark for about 11:45 a.m. in the UK.
Overcast, just a little
Yeah.
overcast. Still no threat of rain yet, but definitely some cloud cover blocking the direct sun. But again, we're in the UK. What'd you expect? Not exactly Phoenix. It's okay. It's all good. But I tell you what, leading club sport, as you mentioned, Andrew Sharp still up after that battle early on with Robert Schwenkler. When Schwenkler first had the contact with Violet and spun and it got going again, the gap was about 7 seconds.
Yeah.
It's been cut down by 2. So we're going to keep an eye on that as the pit cycle begins with Jeff Jacobs.
And this is interesting to see Jacobs taking tires. Larry, if only looks like he maybe only took 2, given the amount of time that the car was up on the jack stands. In talking to some of the TCR drivers, where you would expect, because of some of the cornering loads that are put on the cars, you'd expect that maybe they'd at least take some front tires here. For the most part, they weren't seeing real bad tire wear during the week, and so a little surprise there. Also, well, it looks like Robert Schwenkler has found the windshield wiper button for a few moments as well. Maybe it's sprinkling, Larry, and we just don't know it.
Could be. Could be. But he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job of continuing to cut down the deficit to Andrew Sharp. We'll have to really see if he can get that to within an earshot, a couple seconds. If he can get it to within about 2, maybe 3 or even 4 before his pit stops, maybe some traffic, something else can come along. Schwenkler's still in this to win it, not necessarily out of it, as Jeff Jacobs had some issues at his pit stop because that was almost a minute that he was in there.
Yeah, it was a long time on the...
Any chance he had some repairs to make?
Well, perhaps from his side-to-side contact earlier with Michael Klimovich.
I wonder, yeah. Could be. As we pass the 40-minute mark in the race. Yes, Greg, that means 35 minutes to go.
Thank you, Larry.
As we take a look at Brian Bennett, they're currently running in the 3rd spot here in the club sport with the traffic and all the fights that have been going on behind them. He's managed to lock in this 3rd spot pretty well. In front of him, that's not a position. That is Jeff Jacobs. Like we mentioned, he had that minute-long pit stop. Jeff lost a little track position there, probably about 2/3 of a lap in that pit stop. So Bennett maybe trying to get around Jeff soon, but likely I would bet before he gets up there. If he can't make it a clean pass, Bennett will probably come in for his own pit stop. As I think John Casey is in the pits now.
Yeah, John Casey now on his way out. Andrew Sharp pitting in from the lead now in club sport, and Robert Schwenkler is going to follow him right on in. Only 5 seconds back.
Yeah, very interesting. Just about that 5-second mark between them. Here we are, 33.5 minutes to go to the end. Working on my math.
And this is Larry, as Brian Bennett comes in as well, right towards the very end of the pit window for the club sport machines. We thought it would go somewhere around 25 laps. Yeah. And that's where we are. And now we are starting to see some of the remaining drivers. Yeah. David Klimovich coming down the pit lane as well, as does David Klimovich.
So it looks like the tire change might be considered free in this car, but there's something going on because Andrew Sharp is still in his spot.
Yes.
Robert Schwenkler is out of his spot, and Schwenkler is your new leader in the race, effectively, obviously,
and
with
Bennett,
waiting on
Bennett now moving up as well. As
what is wrong with Andrew Sharp as he just sits there? Klimovich is going to go around him. Sharp still in his spot. I can only imagine things like, through my head, is he restarting his sim wheel? Did something else happen that we aren't, then there he goes.
Oh, wow.
Losing almost about 45 seconds on top of where he should have been. That's a rough race there for your overall points leader in club sport, Andrew Sharp.
Yeah, and that is going to bring him down into, he's going to rejoin in 5th, Larry.
Oh.
Chuck Labano, your current leader, he is the only club sport racer yet to pit. And we suspect that, we don't think, doesn't matter if I can do math or not, Larry, he's not going to make it another.
When in doubt, just say he'll be in soon.
Yeah, he's not going to do another 30 minutes or so. Although there was that one race, Larry.
We did.
Years ago.
I think if that was a Ken Copeland or who that was that somehow made 60 minutes of fuel last a 75-minute race, but it was quite the event. We're all expecting a pit stop, never showed up. I don't know that Chuck Labano is going to pull that off here tonight. doesn't look like it because I think he's on his way in right now.
Indeed. And so Labano now the last to pit on the pit lane. A number of our TCR drivers have not hit the pit lane yet, but Larry, they've got a much larger pit window. About another 3 laps for them. And just as I say that, Chris Thorman's going to pit in from second.
Yeah, so just going back to the pit stops there for Club Sport for a second. Robert Schwenkler, I was wondering if he was taking a gamble by throwing on new tires, expecting Andrew Sharp to beat him out of the pits. Schwenkler now, with the race lead, with a fresh set of tires on that car, is in a great position and an 8-second buffer to second place now runner Brian Bennett.
Yeah.
So Schwenkler in a great position now to try and keep this thing clean. Who thought we'd see that, considering he had the door-to-door incident and spun out when he had the contact with Eric Violette just about 20 minutes ago. So Schwenkler's gone from his night could be over, his season could have just been thrown away, to now he's in a position to win this race.
All right, and Petrowski's 2 teammates, Thorman and Violet, complete their service. About 8 seconds separating those 2 drivers, with Chris Thorman running second in TCR in his Hyundai. Eric Violette, who just a few laps ago had to serve a drive-through penalty, sitting in third as Panhydra now brings his Elantra TCR-N down the pit lane. He pits in from 5th, and we'll see if Ryan Haley, who has taken his pit stop already.
This guy, we're waiting, and he might be on his way in now, and there he is, race leader Bailey Petrowski.
And Hydra Day is going to rejoin ahead of Ryan Haley. It appears, I think there's about 30 seconds separating them. Dan Carrillo now on the pit lane as well. He pits in from second.
And an opportunity here for Carrillo, as I mentioned, with that penalty, the drive-through going to Eric Violette. Carrillo in the points, maybe he can start to make up some ground on that position there, just a couple points back coming into tonight. So big chance here for Carrillo. Needs a good clean pit stop, pit exit. He's on his way in his pit stall right now. Let's see if he's there. He goes. He looks like he just finished up. Let's see if he's able to stay ahead of Violette. I think he will. Oh, maybe not. No, looks like Violette's going to take that position back now. Carrillo down to 4th.
I think a lot of that comes down to just how much time was spent in the box, Larry. Carrillo about 2 seconds longer than Eric Violette. And what's the margin right now? About 2 seconds. Is Robert Schwenkler now with Larry, almost a 9-second advantage on Brian Bennett. Should also mention what we saw in the previous shot. Russ Ruddick, after that early incident, he has now rejoined the field. Although in Club Sport, currently looks like 7 laps down.
Ken Copeland reporting in the chat. Thank you, Ken, one of our reporters on the ground. Sharp's pit entry, he cut the green entry by 5 feet, 25-second hold.
Oof.
Which is the difference there of why he didn't come out of the pit. So that does explain Andrew Sharp's issues there and why he was slow to get out and why he's currently running 5th in Club Sport. Those penalties will get you.
That in the rhythm, Larry. All right, Andrew Sharp. Let's take a look there at what happened on entry.
As he comes down the clearways into the Clark curve, comes in, he's fine there, and I believe it's that.
Yep, right there. Yep.
So instead of crossing down, he was outside of the entry line, that blend line, so to speak. So that'll
Yeah,
cost
looks
you.
like he
That's
just
going to cost him
made
a
a
lot.
late decision to
Yeah.
head to the pit lane, and it cost him.
Yep, opportunity there. He was up in about 5 seconds in this race and decided to go ahead and come in, but didn't decide early enough.
There you go, Larry. Also some info in the chat from Ken about the tires for the Toyotas as well.
Yeah.
That apparently the Toyotas do they can get one tire for free while the fuel is going in, and so taking a front left, which is getting the majority of the load, is you've got just a whole slew of right-hand turns here. That is, as Ken said, almost
and they're
like
high
taking
speed,
new
sort
rubber.
of those right-handers, so you definitely take some extra
a lot of
use
load
that
on them.
tire. The comment we had gotten from Eric Violet was the tire wear wasn't so extreme here, less than you would have expected, and so in the TCR ranks, they were not expected to take tires for that reason, which is typically surprising. Normally in these TCRs, those front tires wear a lot, but I think the way this course is, a lot of them are, there's only one, I guess you could say maybe two sort of hairpin corners. Everything else is sort of these 90 or less flick. So you don't destroy the front tires on a front drive car as much as you would if this were, let's say, a bunch of hairpins.
Yeah, you don't get that terminal push.
But a lot of this kind of stuff where you can flick it, go back on the gas, get the weight on the back end, and even your tire. Yes, your left side's still going to take a pretty good beating, but not quite as bad as it were in some of the other cars. So. But here we are with Bailey Petrowski just doing Bailey things. 8 seconds up on teammate Chris Thorman, another 6 seconds to Eric Violet after his drive-through penalty cost him, we figured, about 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah. And now Bailey's he's made some of that back, as he is, what, about 6 seconds. He's knocked maybe a second off of Thorman in the last couple of laps post pit stops.
Ken Copeland throwing his hat in the ring just in case one of us wants a night off. He might jump in for us. He's got all the inside scoop for us.
Ken, what you doing in about 5 minutes?
Hey, get ready. Greg might need, he's an old man, might need a bathroom break before this thing's over
right.
with.
I won't need the bathroom break because I don't have any water to drink. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, Bailey, great pace tonight. At this point, running, low 133s. Best lap of the race for him is a 32.6. So to be within a half a second of your best lap with nothing pushing you, with 25 minutes to go, it's just solid pace out of Bailey Petrowski, showing us once again why he's the class of the field here in almost any class he runs in.
All right, so Larry, let me give you a little bit of information about what we've got coming up. We talked a little bit about what we've got in 2 weeks for the Touring Car Cup, and of course that's the finale, round number 8 at Virginia International Raceway. Next week, the World Challenge for our GT3, LMP2, and GTP racers, going to be heading to a monster of a racetrack down in Australia. It is the Bend, new to the iRacing platform. 90-minute run to the checkered flag, and that is going to be round 7 of 8. But as you're contemplating that, late next week on August 5th, Larry, we're going to be opening up registration for the next seasons of both the World Challenge as well as the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge.
I'm going to sign up since Ken Copeland is going to be your color commentator. I'm in.
I should. I absolutely should. I won't be signing up in an LMP3 car, however. For that, the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge for our LMP3 racers and GT4 racers, round number 1 is going to be at the end of August. And we're also going to be opening up registration for the next World Challenge season, which will start a couple weeks later. We're going to be off for Labor Day weekend, and the World Challenge will be starting up on September 8th. If you want to find out more, head to xmsracing.com. There you go, Larry. You were discussing Days of Thunder earlier.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Ken.
You're eating ice cream? What?
Hit the pace
there you
car.
go.
Everyone hits the pace car.
And just Sharp now trying to make the move on Chuck Labano. Looks like he's going to. That's an interesting place to make that move there.
Yeah.
But he makes a stick. Nice and clean. Good job for Sharp there. Trying to get a position back.
Well, with 20 minutes to go, Larry, I think at this point he knows that he's got to get him done quickly.
He's got 5 seconds up the road to David
Klimovich.
Klimovich, and the Klim Club is on the edge of their seat, waiting to see how Andrew Sharp, who essentially was paired up for the lead of this race up until the pit stops there, and was leading at that point. Now with on the charge to try and catch their boy David. So we'll see what the reaction is of the crowd there on the chat. Joe and Christine and the rest of the group. As here comes Andrew Sharp. Look at that delta. Sharp so quick. Closing up, and that 1 second gap, that was the lap where he needed to get around Chuck Labano for Andrew Sharp. So the rest of the laps, he's closing in on Klimovich. And now with 20 minutes to go, and only, you can see there, it's about 5 seconds. Time is ticking on David Klimovich. He's going to have to get with the program and then have to try and drive a Jeff Jacobs-esque club sport. David's got in front of him actually on track. It looks like a rare sighting of a Bobby Childs back out there. So, yep, there's Bobby on the front straight. And then not far behind him is going to be, I believe that's our Klimovich.
Howard Klimovich?
Well, yeah, we're talking about him. He's everyone's Klimovich.
He's everyone's.
There is
Man of the people.
Yep, so Klimovich right now playing the part of the rabbit. Sharp playing the part of the chase here. Let's see what he can do. As he cuts another 2
playing the part of Elmer Fudd.
He's a little quicker than Elmer.
Yeah, just a little. Now, Larry, thank you, Hans. Now we know the connection.
Yes. Hans and Stubby.
Yeah. I think that means Stubby's real name is Franz, by the way.
Well, Hans, good to have you in the chat. Sorry to hear about
your mother.
But, of course, everyone's a fan of Bobby, so good to see Hans to head in the chat. And if you really are in Sweden, I'm thinking it's about 3 o'clock in the morning up there.
Yeah.
And the sun's probably out as we're in Sweden, depending on how far north you are. There is no nighttime, I don't think, this time of year, depending on if you're far enough north.
That you know what that makes Bobby Childs, Larry? The international man of mystery.
Oh, 100%. There is Bobby. Get you an onboard shot of Bobby heading around.
Oh,
Greg, I'll let you share that joke with the crowd.
Yeah,
Bobby's new nickname.
This is straight from our director, Jonathan Grabowski. Not the international man of mystery, but the international man of misery. He says, "Sorry, Bobby." That's 33% of us.
All right. I'm sorry whenever Bobby has an issue, but tonight Bobby's got that livery going. He's going to keep riding. But let's get back to the battle at hand. The chase is on. That's David Klimovich currently running third. Would love to finish tonight on a podium. but a charging Andrew Sharp's got something to say about it. I got to tell you, David Klimovich got to start using more of those corner exits around these kinks here at Westfield and Sheen. That's how you're fast around here. And if you watch the line, look at the amount of curb behind them that Andrew Sharp takes. That's how you're fast around those two kinks. Klimovich, I think, has given up a little bit of time being conservative there, and that right now is costing him at the tune of about 4 or 5 tenths a lap. Like the last lap was 1.3 seconds difference between Andrew Sharp and David Klimovich. There you go. Look at that, the graphic, right? Like I was reading it.
Yeah. How did you manage that, Larry?
And another second improvement there for Sharp, continuing the charge. Let's watch their lines a little bit. Sharp runs the line all the way out to the end of the track, opens up his hands, gets the car maximized, power down to these momentum cars. Klimovich, just a couple of extra, a foot or so less of that, rounding it out. So it's just like an extra mile an hour difference.
Yeah.
Then that's where it is. It's these little
That's
subtle,
enough.
it's a tenth a corner, half a tenth a corner. It's not some
Multiply
big
that
chunk
times
somewhere.
10.
That's all it is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the difference typically between a driver who's in the front row and someone's on the second or third row. And that's how you maximize. That's how you get to the level of an Andrew Sharp or Robert Schwenkler. Is you start to maximize every entry, apex, and exit on every single corner, on every track, every 2 weeks. It's fun to watch Sharp. Look how much exit he uses. You can go all the way out there and not catch any kind of penalty. And what we see David Klimovich go by, he's keeping at least 2, if not all 4, on the pavement, and it's just not as fast.
Oh,
But that's not the
that's
excess of
not
the road
the
you want
fast
to
way
use.
either. Is
No,
David
that looked like
Klimovich.
maybe the back end snapped.
That's
at
what
the
it looked
Sheen
like.
kink?
I thought he was going to the Armco. Let's take a look at it again here, Larry.
Yeah, so he actually may have tried to use the exit, gets a little curve, and as he catches it, I don't know what happened there.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what happened.
okay. Just a little wide running there, run the left-hander at Sterling's.
Yeah, and in the process gave up about 4 seconds
Yeah, well,
to Andrew Sharp.
and the Andrew Sharp has caught his prey. Now he's got to do something with it. What can he do as they go heading into Druids? Watch the exit run for Sharp. He's going to try and set up, and now he's going to start pushing Klimovich into bad compromised lines.
And Hans wants to know if these Toyotas have traction control. Yes, they do. But Larry, I'd suspect that, and I think the GR86 Cup cars have, 3 different levels of traction control that you can use. I would suspect that most everybody has turned it off. But
I would think so. But look at that move there. As they came around that Graham Hill bend, the first of those left-handers, great run for Sharp, comes up into Surtees, and he made an inside move. Now Klimovich with a counter move as they're heading down all the way through Hawthorns. Can't quite do anything there. It's just too fast of a turn in to do anything. Now watch the lines as they go around through Westfield. Look how much wider Sharp runs the exit. And look at the delta now. Picks up about 2 car lengths, and that's really the variance between them. Watch Klimovich follow Sharp for a lap. Let's see if he changes some of his lines based on what he learns. But good pass there for Sharp to take over that 3rd spot. Still has quite a bit of ways there to catch up to Bennett for 2nd. I don't think that's going to happen without a big mistake from Bennett. But for Sharp, it's salvaging points now going into the finale. That's where he's got to be thinking about in 2 weeks. He came into tonight with a 3-point advantage over your current race leader, Robert Schwenkler. I suspect Schwenkler may find himself tomorrow morning in the points lead. But Andrew Sharp doing what he can to salvage everything he can out of this thing. Is you get another look at Bobby's wonderful Aussie livery. Both Robert Schwenkler and Bobby Childs running tributes to Aussie here tonight.
and we just found out that Ozzy was a big dirt bike and UTV fan, Larry. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think that's apropos, at least for Bobby Childs, to be running the Aussie livery as he spent all that time in the dirt.
Well, Bobby now trying to make the move, gets a great exit out of Surtees, trying to go now through Hawthorns on the outside line. I told you before, I like the outside line. He can carry more speed there, and I think for Bobby, it's going to work out for him as well, making the pass there on Rodney Carey. Good job,
Yeah, and
Bobby.
Carey was just pinned all the way to driver's right,
Yeah.
where it was strange there that he gave I mean, he had a lot of room to give Bobby on his left-hand side and just got on the brakes so hard, you know, as if he couldn't open that corner up, and he had a lot of room there in order to do it and maybe carry a little bit more speed through the corner.
That's why I love the outside line. If you could just shove someone to the inside there, you carry that all the way to the next high-speed kink, and you can use all the runoff there at Hawthorne's, that right fast bend, like we're about to see Bailey come up to. And let's see if Bailey waits in behind Russ Ruddock. Russ looks like he's going to wait left.
He's trying.
Bailey trying not to do what his teammate Eric Violet did earlier in the race, trying to get by one of the club sports. This time it's a much cleaner pass for Bailey.
Ruddock's already got PTSD from his run-in with Rodney Carey.
Rodney Carey treating the flying tortoise like turtle shells in Mario Kart.
Plink, plink. All right, so we've got now, Larry, just a little bit over 10 minutes remaining here at Brands Hatch. Bailey Petrowski, he is your leader in TCR. Chris Thorman second, Eric Violet third. Robert Schwenkler, Brian Bennett, Andrew Sharp, your top three in club sport.
Chris Thorman here. Great run for Thorman, taking advantage of the penalty to his teammate and really matching pace now. So really Violet cannot make up any ground to catch up to Chris. Chris has just had speed tonight. It's great. Him running up here in this second spot, potentially putting a lap on. I think that's Panhiraday there in front of him. Yeah, and then I think it's Ryan Haley just up there as well. So you got two of the other fellow TCRs he's going to try and lap here in the next 10 minutes. And they're all coming up on Russ Ruddock. Russ is getting a lot of camera time tonight for Russ. Some good, some less than good. Look at that line for Thorman. Cuts the apex hard, uses the runoff on the exit. Now he's got to choose quickly how to go around Russ Ruddock or stay behind as Hiraday into the grass there. For Thorman, he's conservative, but he's right on the tail of Ruddock, trying to get a good exit and get him before he gets down to Clark Curve. I think he's got now the inside. That's good and conservative there for Thorman, not throwing away a good race here for 65 minutes just to have one bad corner with 9 minutes to go. Another little battle here is John Casey, Jeff Jacobs.
And this right now, battle for
Eric
seventh.
Violet trying to be nicer about his passes than his earlier run-ins. Learning his lessons, that's good. Yeah, he's actually staying out of this battle.
Yeah, I was going to say he's chosen to be a little less aggressive here with just a couple minutes to go and let these two battle it out for position.
Yeah, when they get on to the actual back straight, you'll see he'll go ahead and probably use the power of the TCR to go on by. At this point, though, no sense in getting in between this battle.
Yeah, so they'll come here through Surtees, and as soon as they get the cars straightened up, he should, as long as they don't go side by side, should
there
be
he goes. You can see in the
both
mirror
of them.
there the onboard shot, and there goes Eric. Plenty of power in that TCR. Little front drive turbo motor.
Easily through as they get the Hawthorns.
Yeah. And then Dan Carrito's going to have to do the same thing. Running fourth in the TCR group is Dan Carrito. He's going to tuck it in as they go through the Dingle Dell.
Right, and I think that's exactly where Violet had his issues earlier.
It was, that same spot. This time, though, Carrito, good and aggressive to throw the car in and make sure that Casey knew he was there. There was no doubt that Carrito was going to make it. I think sometimes that's that use the body language of your car to communicate with the other driver. Like, I'm going to take the spot. I'm not going to hesitate. You're going to see me. Pass us over. Let's move on. Hans cheering on Bobby with a little, don't know if he means to sound like the Ferrari crew chief. Push, 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 push. Or maybe he wants to be a little more salt and pepper, push it real good. Jeff Jacobs to the outside. Let's see what he can do with Casey on the inside. Now, I like the inside line here. We saw Andrew Sharp use that when he was getting around David Klimovich. Look how much tighter that arc is. And you can get on gas pretty well. Now they'll go side by side down the Pilgrim's Dip. Let's see, that outside line should belong to Casey when they get to Hawthorne's. Let's see if a little tap of the brakes is even. Actually, Hawthorne's Jacobs with the better entry.
Yeah.
That is it. That's the rare case of the inside line holding. I think it was because Casey on the outside got too conservative, but he's going to hold the outside as they go around Westfield to Dingle to Sheen. And maybe hold the position. Great job there for John Casey.
There by Casey.
Yeah. I think that's Robert Schweikler coming up behind them, your race leader in class.
Yeah, that's
the other Aussie livery.
That's the other Aussie car.
Yeah. Now, we saw earlier how quickly Andrew Sharp caught David Klimovich. What he hasn't done is pull away as quickly. Look at that. David Klimovich still.
And Larry.
Oh,
Brian
this could
Bennett,
change things.
It certainly could, as Brian Bennett running in second position now gets a whole bunch of wall that was coming down to. Yeah, that was coming down the hill over by Sterling's, and
yeah,
let's see if he brings that car down the pit lane or if he tries to.
The kink at Sheen, he turns in at Sterling's, and he looks like exit grass, and that's when he just tank slaps in. If he's got damage, this could cost him. He had a buffer of about 10 seconds on the rest of the pack there behind him for the second spot. That he just has to milk this and see if he could last 5 more minutes. Sharp, though, could you imagine Sharp, a 25-second penalty for a pit entry mistake earlier, now 6 seconds back with a limping Brian Bennett in front of him. This could be tight now for second place.
Yeah, indeed, and this could be crucial as we go into the final round at VIR in 2 weeks.
This is massive on points. I want to say it's another 2 points or 3 points difference between finishing second and third. And for Andrew Sharp, that could be the difference between staying in the lead in the points championship versus being 2 points back in the points championship. Bennett now really hanging on. Robert Schweikler becomes the biggest Brian Bennett fan as he needs that blocker behind him.
All right, so Larry, there is a 2-point spread between second and third place.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that's the overall. So the question then becomes, are they looking at finishing 1, 2, 3, or are they looking at finishing 7, 8, 9? If they're looking at...
It's going to be 1, 2, 3 because they're in the same class.
Okay.
So it's Schwenkler right now is going to get max points as leader. Bennett has to hang on to get the second points and block Andrew Sharp from getting those second place points. But as we're on board with Sharp, he can see that limping Bennett in front of him. He's got to know something's up. Perhaps one of his Rapid Theft teammates is watching as a spotter.
Well, I'm sure he's gotten word, Larry, because I think it took me a week to finally figure out the new addition to our timing pylon on the left-hand side of the screen. But I'm pretty sure that's the meatball flag to the right of Brian Bennett.
Now, Sharp doesn't know there's a meatball on Bennett, but Bennett knows. The problem for Bennett is if you don't serve it, you're going to serve a penalty. He's going to have to come through. He has no choice because now if this were in a private league, the admin of the league during a race could clear a black flag. This is not going to happen here. He's going to be forced to stop. That will move Andrew Sharp to second, and David Klimovich should inherit third place.
Third place, exactly.
And Chuck Labano, who came into tonight all the way in third place, well, trying to hang on to a seat at the podium, he could end up in that fourth spot. So 3 minutes to go. We're going to see. If you're Bennett, you might wait and let the penalty be served as a post-race penalty. We'll have to see.
All right, so as Petrowski now comes around again, the lap times that Petrowski has been running have been just a touch over a minute and a half. So with a minute 13 remaining, or no, I'm sorry, with 2 minutes remaining on the clock, I think by the time he gets around, we should have likely 2 laps remaining. I don't think he's going to get the white flag this time by. But I could be.
And look
very
at this. It's already down to 2 seconds now. Bennett, Sharp. Sharp is going to catch him, and it looks like also Klimovich should as well, because the pace difference between them is several seconds per lap. So there goes Bennett, and he's going to have a penalty. If he doesn't serve the black flag, I suspect he'll get some kind of a, whatever the sim gives for a black flag not served. But here comes Bailey now, likely to get the white flag as
Now, let's see, Larry. No.
British cousin waving the white flag.
No. Oh, yeah, there you go. White flag in the air.
Yeah.
You're right. I can't do math.
All right, so Bennett, it's going to be exciting. Penalty or no penalty, Bennett, he's going to hold at least the lead going into the Cooper Straight behind the pit stands. And look at they're behind him. Where is Petrowski? Is he behind this group? Is he going to make this group?
He's behind them. There's Petrowski right there.
Not fast enough, I don't think, to catch them and end their race. All right, this is the pass for second. Here comes Sharp on the inside, Bennett on the outside.
Yeah,
Easy pass for Sharp.
Can do about it. Yeah.
The question now is Klimovich, where's his spot going to be to get around that limping Bennett?
Maybe right here, Larry.
Yep, ducks inside there. Bennett runs wide, can't do much. Bobby's thinking, I could get through as well. Now, Bobby, I believe, is a lap down, so it's not going to do Bobby any help on position.
Yeah, Bobby is indeed a lap down, as is Roddy Carrydale Maxwell.
So where is Bailey Petrowski relative to this group? He's right behind them. They're all going to get another lap. He's not going to go by them unless Bennett.
Well, Larry, you say that, but I think we've seen a couple of times in the last couple of weeks where, well, he's not close enough.
Yeah,
we've seen Bailey go and do it.
Bennett's race is over while Bailey gets the victory.
There you go. So Bailey Petrowski, your winner in TCR. Again, cementing his championship lead. He takes win number 7 of 7 here in the Touring Car Cup. Finishing second tonight is going to be Chris Thorman. And
great job for Thorman.
A D2D trifecta, Eric Violette, will bring his number 89 machine home in third. Dan Carrillo will finish just off the podium in fourth. Now, as we move over to Club Sport, Robert Schwenkler from The Wrong Stuff. He is your leader. And now just a few more corners that remain for him. He's going to make the run down through clearways and into the final corner, into the Clark Curve, onto the front straight, taking the win here in round number 7 of the Ricmotech Touring Car Cup in the Club Sport class. It is Robert Schwenkler. Andrew Sharp, well, he's quite a bit back, 35 seconds for that matter.
Klimovich behind him is trying, but he just can't quite get the run. He's really pushing. But for Klimovich to finish third here is huge for him as well.
Indeed.
Ahead of Chuck Labano, that's the delta there between third and fourth in the points. For Sharp, massive opportunity with the unluck there following to Bennett. For Sharp now to finish second. Huge chance now for the finale. This is going to be a winner-take-all finale in 2 weeks.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh,
so it was 3 points separating Andrew Sharp, who was leading the championship coming into tonight, back to Robert Schwenkler. They are, we think, going to swap positions, and with Robert Schwenkler leading the championship by just a single point going into the final round at VIR in 2 weeks.
Tell your friends, your family, anybody you know, there is a race, winner take all, happening in 2 weeks. These Club Sports have been putting on a show all year long. The Schwenkler-Sharp battle, since the first drop at Willow Springs 7 events ago, it's going to be down to the last round. Oh, this could be too much fun.
Indeed. All right, Larry, let's take a quick break. Give our race winners and all of our podium finishers a little bit of time to decompress. We're going to thank some of our partners, and when we come back, it's interview time here at Brands Hatch, where you've just seen round number 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Welcome back to Brands Hatch, where you've just seen round number 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Touring Car Cup, presented by the SCCA Foundation and Butt Kicker. Let's take a look at our final results again. Larry, in the TCR class, Bailey Petrowski runs the table so far, 7 wins in 7 rounds, takes the win over his teammates Chris Thorman and Eric Violet. Dan Carrizo will finish just off the podium in 4th. And over in the club sport field, where, well, we just really didn't know how this was going to turn out.
Yeah.
And Robert Schwenkler, I think, wants to have a little conversation with Brian Bennett right about now. Robert Schwenkler takes the win for the wrong stuff. And I believe, Larry, that is, what is that, win number... I think that's win number 4 or 3 for him, or 4.
Yep.
Yeah, win number 3.
Yep.
And then finishing second, Andrew Sharp from Rapid Theft, with David Klimovich working his way up into 3rd. Brian Bennett, who with just 5 minutes to go was on line for a 2nd place finish. He's going to finish just off the podium in 4th. All right, so Larry, yeah, it definitely was in club sport. All right, we've got our top 2 finishers in club sport sitting in the green room right now. Larry, I'm wondering,
yeah,
should we talk to Robert Schwenkler first, or because we know Andrew Sharp probably had a little bit more excitement this evening?
But let's talk to Andrew first.
All right, sounds good. Let's bring in from Rapid Theft Racing, finishing 2nd tonight in club sport, Andrew Sharp.
Andrew, this night, oh my goodness, the ups, the downs, the backups again. Yeah, huge battle with Robert. You had the issue with the TCR car getting between you guys. Robert gets spun out, and then we believe you end up having to serve a penalty on your pit entry line.
Yeah, I was looking for a cone, and I just totally touched the green on entry and had a 40-second stop. So that kind of ruined things. But
it did, yeah. Great charge to catch back up and be running in 3rd, and then opportunity presents itself with Bennett having a damaged car. At what point did you realize his car was limping along? Did you know how early when he got hit?
I thought he had just spun. Like, I didn't think he had damage, so I was like, I'm still too far away. And then as it got closer, I saw some of the damage on his rear, and I was like, oh. might have a
Yeah.
chance here. So very, very fortunate on that, and shame for him because he was having a great race. But you take what you can get, I guess.
Yeah. And for us, I love the drama because it sets up this epic finale we're going to have in 2 weeks. Are you going to sleep, or are you just going to be on your sim for the next 13 nights practicing the next track? Because you and Robert essentially are going to be deadlocked going into the finale.
Yeah, if I couldn't ask for a better track to end it on. I love VIR. It's great with this car. There's going to be a lot of back and forth, hopefully. Yeah, I'll probably try to get some sleep, but I'll say just I missed the pit on purpose just to set it up. That's what we'll say.
Well, the drama was great. I don't know. Robert, I'm sure, finishing on the high, but at some point tonight, he was thinking that was not going well either. We'll talk to him in a few minutes. But for you, great recovery. You get back up to the second spot here in this race to get those points after your pit issues. Awesome job there. Just one heck of a night. It was so much fun to watch the drama unfold as it went back and forth and back and forth. But we're excited for 2 weeks. But for tonight, congrats on the second place finish. You got anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Just shout out to Jazza. He was gonna hop into crew chief. Maybe he had something to come up, but appreciate the support from the Ricmotech Racing boys. And happy to provide the drama. That's what I'm here for. So hopefully next week will be nice and clean, and we'll just get after it.
All right. Well, awesome job tonight. The Ricmotech Racing recovering from a penalty and still finishing second. It's Andrew Sharp. Congrats.
Thanks. Have a good night.
All right, congrats, Andrew. All right, let's move over now to our Club Sport winner, driving the number 235 Wrong Stuff Toyota, Robert Schwinkler.
For a little bit.
All right, Robert Schweigler joined us here. And Robert, you're probably really glad this wasn't like a 30-minute race tonight, because you had a little bit of issue there with Eric Violet at one point. Has he apologized? And I guess with the result, are you feeling better?
He has not apologized yet. I'm sure he will, though. And yeah, I feel better. Yeah, I felt like I had the pace to, take it hard to Andrew and, battle, and it's just unfortunate with the scrimmage there, I guess, with all the TCRs coming through. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't even go back and look at it. It is what it is. But I guess Andrew got the penalty coming into the pits, so that worked to my advantage. And after that, I was just trying to keep it clean and try to just put my head down. So.
Yeah, we'd even noticed, I think, we weren't sure who was going to change any tires tonight, but it looked like you did pop up to change some tires, at least a tire or whatever. Were you ready for that fight? Was that the plan, to maybe put on some fresh rubber and take it to Andrew at the end there?
Yeah, much like last race in testing, the left front, this being anti-clockwise, was just taking a beating. So yeah, I just took that one tire. That was the plan all along. So I was really looking forward to battling with Andrew. But I'll still take the win. I'm not.
Well, we just talked to him a minute ago, and I asked him, I'll ask you the same question. Are you going to spend the next 13 nights just practicing for the finale? Because you and he are going to be, you might have a 1-point advantage after the points shake out, or you'll be tied, but it's going to be winner take all.
Yeah, he and I were chatting about that before you pulled him in. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. VIR is one of my favorite tracks, and actually this last week it was in officials, and so yeah, I've already turned a bunch of laps. So yeah, I will definitely be grinding, hopefully to challenge Andrew for the championship.
We are so looking forward to it. And by the way, great livery tonight with the Aussie tribute. You and Bobby had your own, but yours looked absolutely great out there tonight with a tribute to the Ozman himself. But great job tonight, getting that win. A lot of downs, a lot of ups. In the end, you end up on top and set up for the most epic of finales in 2 weeks. But I know you've got a big team with you and big supporters. You probably want to give a mention to them.
Yeah. Big shout out to you guys first. You always put on a great broadcast, and it's always great to go back and rewatch those. So thanks for all the work you put into that. Shout out to Ken again for crew chiefing. Appreciate his help, and the whole team for their support. Family, friends watching, and of course the team sponsors: VRS, SimCoach, UbiSafe, Dangerous.net, Abrade SimMotion. Thanks to all those guys, and yeah, we're really looking forward to the showdown in a couple weeks.
We are too. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait for that one. But you get to celebrate just a little bit before you jump on and grind away for 2 weeks at VIR. But for tonight, celebrate the win. Robert Schwenkler from The Wrong Stuff. Awesome job.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Larry, and congratulations to Robert Schwenkler. That is going to be one hell of a race in 2 weeks. All right, let's move over to TCR now. And first, we're going to bring in the first of our two D2D teammates, finishing second tonight here at Brands Hatch, driving the number... Wait, what number is he anyhow? Oh yeah, that's right. He's in the number 60 car. It's Chris Thorne.
All right, great run tonight for D2D, but especially Chris, great job there. Second place in the TCR class. Great pace. Is this just one of your favorite tracks here tonight?
Yeah, it's a nice track, and it's becoming one of my favorite cars.
Yeah.
I refuse to drive this wrong-wheel drive car, but Eric talked me into it, and I'm actually liking it.
Yeah, I mean, and Eric tonight, you know, he had the penalty that he served, and we're kind of waiting for him to show his pace, and you outpaced him. You kept him back there and really gave him no opportunity to try and close the gap. It's almost like as the race went on, you got faster in this thing. Like, you know, another half an hour, Bailey might have had to watch out for you.
I was trying.
Yeah, you guys, the D2D team you guys brought the guns tonight. No one was going to take you guys down. You guys doing a lot of practicing together and working on a common setup. Maybe all three of you guys working on it together.
Yes, pretty much. When we can, real life takes us out of it sometimes. But no, I couldn't do none of this without Eric. Eric's taught me how to drive this car, and he helps me with the setup. My setup and Eric's will be slightly different, but Eric will help me adjust it so it works good for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're great tonight for you. Second place finish. I think it's your best finish of the season. So loving to see that. You've already given the shout out to the teammates. You got anybody else you want to mention for the good performance tonight?
Just everybody responsible, all of Extreme, y'all, everybody that's responsible for us being able to do this and have fun out here.
Well, it's a great job tonight. Awesome job by the whole team, and you in particular, finishing up in second spot tonight for D2D. Chris Thorman, congrats.
Thank you.
All right, Larry, let's move over to our race winner tonight. Driving the number 115 D2D Sim Racing Hyundai Elantra TCN, Bailey Petrowski.
All right, Bailey, another week, another victory, and no two victories are the same, I guess. Tonight, a little bit of pressure early from your teammate before he got himself in a little bit of a tangle. Was that enjoyable little battle there with Eric, especially in the opening laps?
It definitely had me on the edge of my seat. I was absolutely nervous. Yeah, I was making a lot of mistakes due to the pressure. Eric had great pace at the beginning, and Chris was back there as well, so I made quite a few mistakes and almost lost position, but fortunately managed to stay in front for at least until I could pull away.
Yeah. You know, and it was fun to watch there between you guys. But then as the race goes on, you start working your way through traffic. It was interesting to watch sometimes your choice of where to be patient, where to go by some of the club sports. Are you communicating with those guys, or is you're at this type of event just kind of hanging back and letting them do their thing and picking the straightaways to blow by them?
I tend not to communicate too much. If I do communicate at all, it's all through just the body language of the car. I'll just try and position myself offset with them, or try and like show that I want to go down the inside. I don't even usually flash my lights, just because in the sim it's harder to see the lights flash in the mirrors. It's not the same as real life, but I tend to use body language mostly, and if I'm going to try and make it as obvious as I can if I'm not going to go for it. And there were a lot of corners on this track where the car was really loose, and it just didn't feel like risking it going down the inside or going for an aggressive pass. And most of the time when I was patient, it actually ended up being quicker than if I were to go down the inside, just because taking the tighter line, I had to slow down too much if I went down the inside.
So just so I understand, you're patient, don't cut it down the inside, especially in those high-speed kink corners. You might want to have that discussion with Eric. Just saying. He had a very unusual for him moment that may have cost him a little bit, but it's always fun to poke fun at him. Whatever, he doesn't make many mistakes either. It's good to catch him in one once in a while.
Exactly.
But for you tonight, didn't see any mistakes. It looked just flawless. Amazing 7 wins now in a row in this series, in addition to what you're doing in the World Challenge on the alternate weeks. But tonight, like the others, just dominant, wonderful pace. Once you made a couple mistakes early, it seemed like you got that out of your system. It was just a gem to watch. So congrats on that. Anybody you want to mention here as we close the show?
Yeah, definitely want to thank you guys for commentating on the races. Want to thank all the sponsors for our team. Want to congratulate Chris as well. He had great pace tonight, and he was keeping me on my toes. I kept seeing him catch up to me and really put the pressure on, at least in terms for me trying to keep my distance from him. So he did a great job tonight. Want to thank Ricmotech and Butt Kicker for continuing to support the series. Thank the SDK Foundation. Let's see. Definitely want to thank friends and family for watching, and once again, just want to thank you guys for always being here to commentate on these races and always showing up to help make this a great show.
We love doing it. We love watching. I certainly love watching the excellence that you put out there every week for us. So it's been a joy to watch. And tonight, the same thing. It's just been a lot of fun to watch you driving as well as you do. So congrats on the win again tonight for D2D Sim Racing. It's Bailey Petrowski.
Really appreciate it, guys. You have a good one.
All right, thanks so much, Bailey. And Larry, little known fact that you and I call these races each night using nothing but body language as well. And unfortunately, it probably doesn't turn out as well as if one of us flashed our headlights. Anyway, that's going to wrap things up for tonight's action here from Brands Hatch. Let's take a look at what we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks. Again, next Monday night, August 4th, it is round number 7 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge for our LMP2, GTP, and GT3 racers. 90 minutes from the Bend. And I think that's Shell V-Power Park, if I remember correctly. And then in 2 weeks is the season finale of this, the Touring Car Cup, going to be at Virginia International Raceway. That is a 60-minute race. And then the following week, the 18th, it is the finale for the World Challenge. That will be at Daytona International Speedway, 75 minutes. But remember, starting next Tuesday night, actually I think Tuesday during the day, you can sign up for the next season of both the World Challenge and the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge for the LMP3 and GT4 racers in your family and in your household. The action starts August 25th for the Mini Mite Sports Car Challenge, and the beginning of September for the World Challenge. Head on over to xmsracing.com for more information. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night from Aussie Land. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.